The world's largest international Navy exercise is underway in Hawaii. The U.S. is hosting the drill called RIMPAC 2022. This year, 26 nations are coming together to flex their military might. The drill has a number of goals, including exercising a range of defense capabilities and helping promote a free and open Indo-Pacific. Many countries in that region are facing the pressure of a growing Chinese military. Participating countries are U.S. allies and partners from around the world. Up north, Canada. Those from Europe, Britain, France, Denmark, Germany, and the Netherlands. In the south, Mexico and Peru. Across the ocean in Asia, South Korea, Japan, India, Malaysia, and Thailand. And in the South Pacific, Australia and New Zealand. Next to the U.S., South Korea brought the largest arsenal to the event, followed by Australia. South Korea sent 3 ships, 1 submarine, and over 1,000 soldiers to the drill. Australia also sent 3 ships. Despite the long list of participants, Taiwan is not invited. That's despite the 2022 National Authorization Act calling for the U.S. to invite Taiwan to the drills as appropriate. The act is a defense spending blueprint for 2022 and has been signed into law. The invitation is part of an effort to help Taiwan maintain a sufficient self-defense capability. NTD reached out to the Pentagon for comment, but did not immediately receive a response. The drill is happening near the Hawaiian Islands in Southern California. It's set to wrap up in August.
Multiple attorneys general petitioned the Supreme Court concerning citizens' right to religious freedom. They asked the court to reconsider a ruling on harassment of Falun Gong practitioners, calling it an issue of national importance. Here's more.
23 attorneys general filed a multi-state amicus brief with the U.S. Supreme Court, upholding the right to religious freedom in the United States. According to a press release by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's office, the AGs are calling on the highest court to revert a lower court decision. In 2015, 13 residents of Flushing, New York, filed a complaint against the Chinese Anti-Cult Alliance worldwide. Petitioners detailed a 6-year campaign that saw more than 40 beatings, incidents of harassment, and death threats against them. The reason? That they participated in parades on behalf of the Falun Gong meditation practice, handed out related leaflets, or managed a booth with related literature. Freedom of religion in places of religious worship is protected under the Freedom of Clinic Entrance Act. But the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Court in New York dismissed the case, holding that the plaintiffs were not protected by the statute. The AGs argue that the lower court narrowly interpreted the term to mean places devoted primarily to religious worship. And by doing so, it unduly narrowed a statute meant to bar the worst acts of violence in many of America's sacred places. The brief also states Falun Gong practitioners are exactly the sort of worshipers one might expect to find safety in a statute like this. The AGs therefore found the ruling wrong on an issue of national importance that stands at the center of our constitutional tradition. Falun Gong is a spiritual practice that originated in China, but that has been persecuted by the Chinese Communist Party since 1999. In 2021 alone, over 10,000 cases of harassment and 6,000 arrests linked to the practice have been reported in mainland China.
A new report is exposing imposters on social media. That's according to researchers from cybersecurity firm Mandiant on Tuesday. They say accounts on Twitter and Facebook have been posing as citizens from Texas and attacking a rare earth processing facility in the state run by mining company Linus. Though the criticism hasn't generated much engagement, researchers warn that Chinese propaganda is evolving and getting more sophisticated. They say it's a sign that China may spare no effort to weaken its Western rivals in the rare earth industry, the industry Beijing is using to strengthening its international alliances. Mandiant said in a report that most of the Twitter accounts were created in clusters, indicating a possible batch creation by a single source. And now the network is working in 7 languages across 30 platforms with cross-promotion. Kenton Tebow is a China Fellow at the Atlantic Council's Digital Forensic Research Lab. She said the increasing sophistication of Beijing's narratives reflects its expanding ambitions. Rare earth elements are used to make a wide range of consumer tech products, from smartphones to hybrid vehicles. The materials are also vital for producing defense and military equipment, including communications gear, weapons, and aircraft.
イギリス議会の超党派議員67人が中国共産党とつながりのある企業で製造された監視カメラシステムの使用を禁止するよう政府に求めています。ハイクビジョンとダーファーテクノロジーは中共による新疆ウイグル自治区でのウイグル人弾圧に関与していると非難されています。しかし報告によると、これらの監視カメラはイギリスの学校や政府機関でも使用されているとのことです。イギリス議会の少なくとも67人の議員がハイクビジョンとダーファーの監視カメラの使用禁止を望んでいます。アメリカは2019年、中共当局のウイグル人弾圧に関与したとして、この2社をブラックリストに載せました。議員らは党派を超えてイギリスにおけるハイクビジョンとダーファーの監視機器の販売と使用を禁止するよう求めました。また、両社の中国における人権侵害への関与を非難しました。この声明は市民の自由を擁護するイギリス市民団体ビッグブラザーウォッチによって出されました。イギリス政府にはすでに行動を起こすよう圧力がかかっており、2021年の外交委員会では、当委員会は収容所に監視装置を提供しているハイクビジョンのような企業が、イギリスで活動することを禁止するよう政府に勧告すると述べています。ビッグブラザーウォッチの調査によると、議会、病院、学校、大学を含め、現在イギリスの公共機関の 60% 以上が、中共国有企業の監視カメラを使用しています。議員らによるこの呼びかけは、議会で調達法案の審議が再開された時に行われました。この法案の変更案は、人権侵害の懸念を理由に、潜在的な供給者を除外することを可能にするものです。
The U.S. is reaching out to the Netherlands, asking the country's government to stop a Dutch company from selling to China. Tech company ASML is one of the world's leading production equipment makers. Specifically, it makes gear used to create microchips, and the company sells some of that equipment to China. If the Netherlands agrees to ban the company from doing business with China, the list of chip-making equipment that's no longer accessible to China would get even longer, and that would deal another serious blow to Chinese chip makers. Though the Dutch government doesn't seem to have signed on just yet. Officials have already banned ASML from selling its most advanced systems to China, those that use extreme ultraviolet technology or EUV. The equipment carries a unit price of 160 million euros or $164 million. The U.S. now wants the country to bar some of the company's older tech as well, called DUV. Though they're a generation behind the most cutting edge, these machines are still the most commonly used to make chips. The devices remain desperately in need amid supply shortages. Given China's position as the Netherlands' third biggest trade partner, the Dutch Prime Minister said he doesn't support rehashing bilateral trade ties to China. ASML also rejected the possibility of banning sales of the older DUV technology to China. Data shows that ASML's China-based facilities made up nearly 15% of the company's total revenue last year.
The U.S. Air Force is reacting to the development of advanced fighter jets by foreign adversaries like China. The Air Force is reactivating a squadron that includes F-35s, one of the most advanced stealth fighter jets in the world. Let's take a look.
The U.S. Air Force reactivated the 65th Aggressor Squadron in a ceremony at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada earlier this month. The new unit also gets its first F-35 stealth fighter jet. During a combat training mission with other pilots, the 65th Aggressor Squadron replicated the tactics and techniques of U.S. adversaries. General Mark Kelly heads the Air Combat Command. He said they are doing this due to the growing threat posed by Communist China's development of 5th and 6th generation fighter jets. And that, quote, precisely because we have this credible threat, when we do replicate a 5th gen adversary, it has to be done professionally. The F-35 stealth fighter jet is a fifth-generation fighter jet because it has low observable technology. The only other countries that operate fifth-generation jets are China and Russia. Colonel Scott Mills commands the 57th Operations Group. He said that using the F-35 as an aggressor allows pilots to train against low observable threats, similar to what adversaries are developing. The 65th Aggressor Squadron was active from 2005 and 2014, and back then they flew the F-15s, which are fourth-generation fighter jets, because they don't have stealth characteristics.
Is China's military power on track to surpass America's in Asia? Beijing's rapid military expansion is putting its neighbors on edge. For the first time ever, countries from the Indo-Pacific are joining a NATO meeting. But with the war raging in Ukraine, does Washington have enough energy to deal with China and Russia at the same time? NTD's Julia Song spoke with Greg Copley, president of the International Strategic Studies Association, for more.
The largest military buildup in history. That's what the head of the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command is saying about China's military expansion. The Chinese Communist Party has been busy expanding its military presence, even though it already has the biggest navy in the world and the biggest air force in Asia. On top of boosting its nuclear arsenal, the regime continues to grow its control of the South China Sea by militarizing the islands. In the east, it has sent record numbers of fighter jets near Taiwan. And on a high-level meeting with defense chiefs from many countries, Beijing declared its resolve to take the island under control by force.
If anyone dares to secede Taiwan from China, we will not hesitate to fight. We will fight at all costs, and we will fight to the very end. This is the only choice for China.
In the south, Beijing is helping Cambodia to upgrade a military base, which could give Beijing a foothold in the Gulf of Thailand. Further south, China signed a deal with the Solomon Islands, and the agreement has put big powers in the west on edge. That's because they fear it could allow Beijing to have a military base near Australia. Chinese leader Xi Jinping wants his military to be as powerful as the US's by 2027. And now, some worry that if Washington doesn't take action in time, China could take its seat as the dominant power in the Indo-Pacific region. Here's Greg Copley's take on the issue. He's the president of the International Strategic Studies Association.
It's true that the US has not invested as much as it should have in the Indo-Pacific or in new defense technologies generally over the past few decades. We saw a slight resurgence in defense spending under the Trump administration. Now we see it flattening out, and we see the really dangerous and negative impacts of inflation on the purchasing power.
The White House has requested over $800 billion for the 2023 defense budget, the largest ever. But with inflation, it's only a 1.5% increase from 2022. The Pentagon has said it needs a bare minimum of a 3 to 5% increase to maintain U.S. military's capability. And many in Congress have asked for a 5 to 7% increase, considering Russia's invasion and China's military modernization. Even though Washington's defense budget is falling behind, Copley notes there's a catch with China's military power.